Listening to Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
Hello, everybody. Got to get the mic set here. Get all straight. I got Collin Gregory here from the Burleson PD, the community engagement guru, social media whiz, all that.
Howdy, howdy.
And we're going to talk about what the Burleson PD is doing. They got an event coming up in a couple of days, and they have some ongoing programs. You have an update on the Victims Assistance Program. And we're just going to chit-chat about not just his position, but all the attempts that they make to try to make sure you're as well-informed as possible. And that's a good thing because, we don't have, again, the daily paper, like we used to. And that used to be everybody's go-to. Now, this is everybody's go-to, social media, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we're ahead of the curve on this because we talked about before the show, do other communities do this? And some do, some don't. Usually it's the bigger communities with bigger wallets that do this. And we're doing it because Collin works for free. Not really.
No. You're not far off.
Yeah,
You're not far off.
It's not a way to get rich quick, is it? Neither is teaching school, neither is most of public service type jobs. You're not going to get rich quick, but I'm sure you enjoy your job quite a bit.
I love my job.
You also work as a youth minister, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I did youth ministry for 12 some odd years.
That's where the real money is.
The real money.
That is very true. That is the icing on the cake as far as finances are concerned right there. So, but no, I've been ordained for 15 going on 16 years now, and
really?
Did youth ministry for 12 of that, and the associate pastor at our church, and so, yeah. Every day's a new challenge.
Yeah, which church is that?
It's called North Elevation Church. We're we're in Rendon, right at the border of Mansfield. We always call ourselves a Mansfield church, but we have about 2 stones throws away from the city limit line.
Well, about everything out there is. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of who's what. It really is because, I never know if I'm in Crowley or in Burleson or in Cleburne or Joshua. I'm going to go to Cleburne and Joshua today, and I don't know where I'm at half the time because it's just all one big mess. But anyway, we're going to talk about all those things. We're going to talk about the sponsors here now because they make this possible. Thank you to Otto. As always, with our place, he's a big supporter of the Blue. I know that much. Every time I go for breakfast, there's always at least one table, if not maybe 2, full of cops, not just Burleson cops, but Crowley and Fort Worth.
He is a huge supporter of ours, and we've been seeing him. I know our place is the sponsor here, but we have been seeing a lot of Gina's, and oof, man, that place.
I've been there about 3 times. Yeah, it is. It's really good. What I like about it is the food's great, service is great. It's just a joint, hometown kind of feeling. He plays the right kind of music in the background. Yeah. The pizza's good. It got the right atmosphere. So you done good, Otto. Also, Wild Cigar. I was there yesterday talking with Nathan. On the 21st, they're going to have some sort of tiki event. I'm not really sure what that is. I'm an old man, but they're also going to be giving away a raffle a grill. And so that's a pretty nice thing. But I was there yesterday, and it's always a nice place. And, even in the early morning, well, not early morning, it's 11 o'clock. There's still people there. It's a great place to go and relax for an afternoon or something like that. So.
You really need to take the show on the road and do this with a cigar.
I have thought about that more than once, but, Taylor's so busy. Well, it really is. It's hard to break into schedule sometimes. I mean, he's, I know he's the
busiest man in town.
Well, you may notice also he's changed some of the lighting in here. He's got cameras coming in next week. It's going to be even a more upscale production. So, he's going to be...
All for you, Mr. Allard.
Yeah, a little corn, but that's fine. Thank you, Nathan and Chris at Wild Cigar. Also, friend Tiffany Nico. The magazine will be out next week. Everybody knows Tiffany Nico.
Oh, yeah.
And Local Life magazine is always really, really good. I was there. Also, I was doing a little sponsor care, the next sponsor, Southern Gym, and there was half a dozen of them out there. So it's not just the 30,000 homes that get it. It's also people that are waiting for the car to be fixed or, perusing or whatever. A lot of eyeballs see that magazine. So if you're looking to advertise, it's a good place to do it if you're looking for local hits on your advertising. Also, speaking of Southern Gym, like I said, I was there yesterday. Gayla was telling me that they had some watches they're going to be putting on sale because Father's Day's coming up. Now, we're not talking about the used Rolexes because that's a collector's thing. But these are very fine watches that are going to be on sale. And there's also sales related to that about Father's Day, including ladies' jewelry. So maybe you can go get yourself a watch and some jewelry at the same time, ladies. You know, it's a good deal.
And how many Rolexes do you have?
If I had more than 2, I could retire right now. But I mean, they are collectors. And I asked Gail, why don't you sell new Rolexes one time? She said to do that is just, it's unbelievable that what you have to go through to do that. You have to not just be a certified Rolex dealer, but they basically take control of your shop. And she said, no, thank you. So but used Rolexes are fine, and it's, you know, and people collect them, you know, various styles and designs. You know, it's not really a timepiece. It's a, you know, statement. So there you go. Also,
it's a timeless piece.
Timeless piece. But I'm being twomadescleaning.com/Burleson or 817-764-0733. Brenda Ramirez, the owner, gave her presentation at her B&I meeting, and it's amazing, the before and after pictures. And the good thing about it is they get paid based on their ratings, and they have all these different packages you can do. And if you say, well, I'm not sure I can afford it, call Brenda, and she could work things out. You know, they work with your budget. You know, they can customize a plan for you. And she's looking in particular for like apartments and property managers because they do the windmiller building, and they want to do more of those. But they really do a good job. And Brenda is one of the most devoted Kansas City Chief fans I've ever met. She's from Kansas City, so there you go. Also, we know these people, Old Pro Roofing. John, I'm sure, is very busy. I saw him yesterday, too, and he says he's busier than a one-legged man at a butt-kicking contest.
I can imagine with the weather.
Yeah. Well, particularly, we got spared, but a lot of my friends in the Collin County area got hit pretty hard, particularly in Plano. They do business there. They do business in about a 2-hour radius. So if you got hit in, you know, the mid-cities or Louisville or something like that, give John a call at 817-734-2756, and he'll come tell you the truth. Oh, you got spared, no big deal, or you really need a new roof. And the thing about it is the insurance companies have really tightened their rules. So if you got hit like Tuesday and he said, well, I'll get around to it, if you wait more than 365 days to get around to it, you're no longer going to be covered by that event. And you're out of pocket. And a new roof is an investment, you know. So don't waste time. You know, some people found out much to their dissatisfaction that they were not eligible for an event that happened a year ago, March, because they waited. You said, my roof's okay. It looks okay to me.
Right.
Turns out there really was damage, and they couldn't file because they waited too late. So 817-734-2756. Couple old friends here we have, Sammy Campbell, Candy Gal. You know Sammy, I'm sure.
I do know Sammy.
Yeah, and she's sweet. She's a good business person. She and Candy both. They really know what they're doing. Because I've used them twice in other stops they've had, and Sammy and Candy know their business, and that's nice to know. There's no fly-by-night thing here. One time I refinanced to pay some bills, you know, for remodeling the house, and also enough time for college bills. And they just walked me through it and held my hand, and no problems at all. 817-778-4592 for Sammy and Candy at 817-925-2661. Two very fine business women. And lastly, our newest sponsor. This is new probably since you've been here, Jeff Kelly at Jeff Kelly Realty. You know Jeff by any chance?
You know, Jeff looks very familiar. I think I do.
Well, he probably advertises here, and that's how you know him.
And, that's exactly how I know Jeff.
Cell number 817-781-0546. Or his office number, 817-720-6300, or Jeff at jeffkellyrealty.com. He has a couple of houses he put on Facebook that I've forwarded and I shared, and he'll be on the show on the 25th of next month to talk about what's going on with the real estate market. Because what you read in the papers may not be the same thing that's going on here in Burleson, because we're still growing, as you probably well know, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Also, one last thing. Taylor, I'll talk about it at the end of the show, but remind me about the Burleson Opportunity fundraiser. Doesn't the BPOA have a fundraiser in July or something like that?
Let's see, BPOA. Yes, we have one coming up. We have a we have a car show coming up this summer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good because there's a lot of golf tournaments out there. There's like 4 that I know of.
Yes,
this is must be a golf in town. But
yes. Now the foundation. Let's see, the foundation has one coming up in October. Okay. So, because we decided that the summertime heat is not the best way to invest your time on the golf course.
No, we're hoping ours is June 7th, so we're hoping that it still won't be blazing hot by then, but you never know. But anyway, let's talk about the Burleson PD and whatnot.
Sure.
your latest project is the Victims Assistance Program.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I believe you revamped the poster.
Yeah. So, the story behind this is this is our new one. We started a complete overhaul with the campaign. Taylor, can you toss the old one up for me real quick? So when we started this was back in, I came on to PD in the last part of October, and started hitting around each of the different departments, trying to figure out kind of where I could help. And Victims Assistance was one of the first places. And their big story was we do a lot of good and we do a lot of good help, but most of the time it's after the fact somebody's been a victim and it's not prior. And a lot of people who are looking to try to get out don't know that there are resources to be able to get out. They don't know that there are people out there that are willing to help them. And so a lot of people that we visit with our Victims Assistance group, they did this. It's usually after we've arrested, one of the two spouses, and that person's been hauled off to jail. And that person that is remaining is sitting there trying to figure out how to put the pieces together. And our Victims Assistance Coordinator, Stephanie, who was here on your show last
I've had her on
months.
twice. Yeah, it was a couple months ago, yeah.
Awesome.
I hear a lot of people say that because the nonprofit ladies know her.
Yes.
And they just rave about your program.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Just salt of the earth, wonderful person. And then when Stephanie gets there and starts telling them about all the things that we have the ability to do, the one statement that we get more often than not is, had I known this stuff was out there, I would have left a long time ago. And so that kind of sparked this thought process. So we created this poster that we started putting up in bathrooms and women's stalls across town. And we did it right off the bat. I mean, Stephanie and I sat down and we said, this is the idea. This is what we're going to do. We had a lot of people that just absolutely loved it. And in the process of doing that, I gave a call to a good buddy of ours, old Ken Shetter. He's over at One Safe Place in Fort Worth, and said, hey, here's an idea that we have. We're running with it. We're putting these things up. We'd love to get your input on it. So we went and spent an afternoon with One Safe Place. I got to talk to his boss, Michelle. She's an awesome, wonderful lady. And she said, let me take this poster. I have a victims group, a survivors group is what they call it. These are women who have survived all sorts of different domestic abuse. It could be financial, could be emotional, could be spiritual, sexual abuse, whatever it may be. But they meet one Tuesday or Thursday of the month. And I'd love to show them what you guys are doing. So they came out and they handed them the poster and they said, tell us what you think. And that group of women absolutely destroyed it. They hated everything about it, except for the fact that, well, at least you're doing something. And I will say, as far as we know right now, outside of national things, so you'll see a lot of stuff like the suicide hotline posters and things along those lines, we don't know of any other city in the DFW area or in Texas right now that is doing a campaign like this. Especially with a local where you're scanning something or you're calling a number and you're actually getting a person and not just some national database. But they had a lot of interesting remarks on it. So we came back to the drawing board and just said, okay, here's some of the things they said they didn't like about it, and let's take that and let's move forward with it. And I sat down with a local photographer and said, this is my vision. This is what I think I'm feeling from all the emotions that they had relayed to me. And then Taylor, if you'll toss the new one back up. And this is what we came up with.
So the group that you ran this by did not like the first poster.
Did not like the first poster.
What was it they did not like?
Well, the one biggest thing that they had was, number one, it felt more that it was based off of physical abuse. And the physical abuse aspect is probably where I was going with the majority of it, just in the back of my mind, kind of subconsciously, that's what we were thinking. And they said, but all abuse is not just physical. Financial abuse is a horrible thing. Emotional, spiritual, technological abuse is one of the things that we see a lot with especially with teens.
Okay, you're going to have to define that a little bit for some people.
Absolutely. So technological abuse, you get a wonderful picture that you put up of you and the missus, and you're like, I absolutely love this lady. Here we go. And then you get 2 or 3 comments below by people that don't watch this show and are haters. And they say, oh, what an ugly person, or what about this, or what about that? And it's that constant abuse online. So to you and I, that may not sound like a big deal, but when you're
it's a big deal.
When you're 14 and you post a picture of yourself, or your family posts a picture and you're in it, and then all of a sudden you get those DMs and those comments coming in saying, "Look how fat you are. Look how stupid you look. Look at this and look at that." So we've already extended into, and that's not physical abuse. There's nobody reaching through your phone physically assaulting you. But the mental abuse behind that is devastating, especially to somebody who's younger or somebody with any sort of self-image issues. So the mental health side of it was kind of an aspect that didn't seem to relay well in the old posters. And so that's why we went with this one. And it's a little blown out on this screen. It may not be as much on the interwebs, but behind our wonderful model here is kind of a dim, but it's all the different types of emotional and physical. So you can kind of see it down in here.
Right. Okay.
But it's all wording behind there that gives examples of the different types of abuse that people run into.
It's amazing because, as a former teacher, you're a current youth pastor, you probably see that technological cyberbullying. Or
oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's just devastating to kids at a very vulnerable age. But but that doesn't stay just with teenagers. I mean, they're
there. We go. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, there's all sorts of. Also, even in adults, they're doing that, and I don't understand, even for a moment, what would drive somebody to do that to other people. But we have people out there that are so devoid of any feelings or any self-worth that they feel like they have to blow that onto other people, and I don't think they realize how devastating it was. Now, but Jay Davis has been here, Joe Byron's been here, and they've talked about those things on the show about how devastating this cyberbullying can be, or. For lack of a better word, I keep hearing this phrase, revenge porn. Yeah. That kind of thing. And so it's good that there's some sort of source that say, I'm getting bullied, that can do something about
absolutely.
it.
So when I went back to the drawing board, the thought process was trying to find something that felt more isolation and not as much physical abuse. And so we have our model here, which, by the way, I'm going to give a shout out to her because she's going to kill me when I tell people this. So Brooke Mathis is the photographer that helped me with this. So Brooke and I are real good friends, and I called her and I said, "This is what I want. I want small in the corner. I want away." There's a story that I gave to the Power Heals group with the chamber. About someone who was close to me and was dealing with abuse, but was trying to keep it from her kids. And one of her kids walks in on her and realizes that she's in the bathroom in the bathtub just crying. But she was doing that to stay, to keep away from her kids. She didn't want her kids seeing her break down. And that story really reflected with me. And it kind of felt, hey, this is what we want. Brooke had a couple of models that were going to volunteer their time to come do this, and they both got paid gigs and weren't able to. And so Melissa Miller from the chamber, she's been a huge proponent for us. Has helped me pass out hundreds of these posters. I called her up and I said, "Hey, do you mind doing modeling for us?" That's Melissa Miller.
Well, she's my next guest on Monday. I'll have to bring that. We're gonna throw that up there.
You need to. She's extremely proud of this. I mean, we've and that was another thing about this one shot. The hairs in the face, so it really takes it away from it being a single person. So it really identifies with a lot of people. Because there's not as much of a face to it, as much as it kind of draws in that emotion of isolation and all these different types of emotions.
I wouldn't have guessed it automatically, but I would have thought there was probably a civilian, not a professional model. Right. But that's interesting. Good for her.
Yeah, she did great. And Brooke's amazing at look, I give her props, man.
I've seen some of her photos. They're very nice.
So good.
They're very, very nice.
So good.
As far as these posters. The last ones you were asking the retailers and whatnot to chip in to help. Is that also the case here?
Absolutely. Right. We've already had one, I won't say the name yet, but we already have one group contact us and offer a donation of $600 to buy more. We've got them down to $6 a poster. Now, the posters are a vinyl laminated with self-adhesive, so they're not just a piece of paper. These are created to self-stick to the back of bathroom stalls and really anything with a flat surface, a smooth flat surface. These things will stick right to, but they're also created so you can peel them off. So if somebody does try to damage it or do something along those lines, we can peel one off, put one back on without it. That was one of the other things. When you're going to all these businesses and you're having something that it's this emotional, they want that guarantee that, hey, I can take this off if I need to. And like, oh yeah, absolutely. It's just, it's peeling it off.
Yeah, but really, do you have examples or incidents of vandalism to your posters?
Not yet.
Oh,
no,
okay,
no. We've actually, and this was when we started the old campaign, we were trying to keep everything so under wraps that people wouldn't know it was out there because we were so afraid that vandalism, we were afraid of there being a partner that would not allow their spouse into the restroom if they knew that those posters were in there. When we went back and started looking at the data, we really felt like we were doing an injustice. And so this past week is when we kicked off the campaign. And we've been a little bit more upfront. We've made social media posts about it. I've gone and presented to the chamber, the Power Heals groups. And now that we've kind of put it out there, your show, for instance, it helps a lot because we're getting a lot more response from the social media side of things. A lot of people coming in saying, hey, I'd love to have one at my business. Hey, I'd love to help financially. I'd love to, what can I do for this and that? I had a wonderful lady contact me about her brother who was in the Air Force, and he passed away, but he had worked in the mental health industry in the Air Force, and she was wondering to see if they could do some sort of donation for Memorial Day in his honor, and because it just fit right with what he did, in his life. So it's been extraordinarily positively received. Oh, and we did send this back to One Safe Place. That was the first thing we did, and we said, okay, here's what we got. Throw as much at it as we possibly can. I mean, I really put a lot into this one, Brad. I mean, I was so proud of this when it came out the way it did, and they wrote us a letter back, pretty much saying we could not ask for anything more perfect.
There you go.
So they were so happy with it. Just talk about the weight lifted off my shoulders because it was, this has been just a special project for me. Because I love helping people, and I think it does.
It does. I promise you it does, because I've heard people have commented on it saying that, fortunately for them, they didn't have to use it themselves, but they knew it was out there and they liked that. And as far as being more overt about it, I don't mind putting a shot across the bow of somebody that's an abuser. I like for people to know, or him to know, if her, female abuse is also common. I'd like to know for them to know that this is out there, and what you're doing in secret or trying to hide is going to be discovered, and you're going to be found out if you're abusing your partner.
Absolutely, and the nice thing on that aspect, it not only helps those that are needing the help, but it also starts conversations about. Actually, Melissa Mathis, she and I were having a conversation. She said, I'd take my niece to the restroom over at Fresco's, and we go into the stall because she's a lot younger and needs help. And she looks up and sees the poster and goes, why is that lady sad? And she said, I had that conversation with her, and it was a good conversation to have about, we don't let people hurt us. We don't let people bully us and stuff along those lines. So not only does it help the people that need to scan the QR code at that place, but it also helps remind people that there's help out there. And if you have somebody in your life that or suspect that they're in a situation like that, now where to send them.
All these are for ladies' restrooms, right? But
we have kind of designated it for that. That was the intention of the first round. But if you have an office, would you like to put one up? HR office, anything along those lines?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting a little bit more out front with them. All we would say is if you have a business, please put it somewhere where somebody can see it, where they feel that they can scan it and not be seen. And I think that's one of the biggest ones. Mainly the restroom stall was the biggest thought process was that's the one place where somebody's going to be alone.
Right.
You know, you get that 1, 2, 3 minute, whatever long, I don't know, women are in the bathroom for 4 hours. I can't tell you. You know, and they go in groups.
Yeah,
I don't get it either,
they
Brad.
rooting each other on. Hey, good for you.
I think we're going to figure out, you know, all the ocean depths and the mysteries of space before we figure that one out. But this would be the one place that they could go and see the poster, scan it, put their information in. Because when you scan the QR code, it sends you immediately to a form that goes to Stephanie, our victim's assistant, and it's you can pretty much put on there anything that you would like to be contacted.
I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to see if it, do the right here.
I hope so, because if it doesn't, then I spend a lot of time and money on.
No, I put it on the screen.
Okay.
I won't be on the screen, but I'll put it on my phone, and there it is.
All right, awesome.
You know, see? No, I can't see, but there's the form, and you can. Victim assistance, you could talk about all these various problems, immediate danger,
Absolutely.
dial 911, how it could be reached, what your need is, and the whole thing. That's really, really good.
Absolutely. And it can take you 30 seconds to fill that out. Hit send, and the moment you hit send, it sends an email to Stephanie. And she gets that on her phone, and then she can, depending on the severity of it, she can contact you immediately. She can contact you the first, on Monday. There's an option in there that you can say that you want to meet. Right now school's out, but we do have the option of meeting at your child's school because you do have that people who are victims or survivors that they're being tracked constantly. So you go someplace where, if you're being tracked and you see that your spouse is at the school, you don't think twice about it. But we have resource officers at our schools. We have the ability for Stephanie to show up there, and that we know she's protected. We know the victims are protected as well. So there are so many different ways that you can contact us and we can meet. We can text, email, phone call. Whatever the person is the most comfortable with, she's going to work to do that.
Can they do that? Can somebody contact you anonymously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
some people still are concerned about being found out. And
100%. I would just say if you're going to be anonymous, just put Brad Allard down as your contact information.
You betcha. Okay.
Brad is awesome at gmail.com.
Yeah, right.
And,
that'll work out just fine. Yeah. But I'm just thinking, some people, they're always really hesitant to also not just to get in trouble with their spouse, but also get their spouse in trouble.
Right, exactly.
And you have to work around that sometimes too.
But one of the greatest things is that Stephanie understands this doesn't. It goes to our victims assistance coordinator. This is not sent to 911 unless you are specifically trying to contact 911. We get people that send us an email and say, "Hey, this is the situation I'm in. This is what I'm dealing with. I just want to know where my rights are. What can I do if I decide to leave? What happens if this and that?"
Right.
And that conversation happens, and Stephanie has all the resources and tells you, if you're wanting to leave, here's a shelter. Here's the ability to pay for your mortgage. Here's how you would do this and that. Some people decide not to, or they look at it and they're just like, maybe this is not exactly what I thought it was going to be, but there's that opportunity to have that conversation. So if you just want information, you can use the scanning of the QR code is not going to send off red flags and blow things up. It can be simple conversation back and forth. If you want to text with Steph and just say, "Hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm hearing over at my neighbor's house," or something along those lines. She'll have those conversations.
Okay, so if it's not involving you directly, but somebody like it's my sister.
Absolutely.
I have a deadbeat brother-in-law that's or something like that, which I don't, by the way. I know I have a very fine brother-in-law. My sister picked a good one, but I'm just saying. But if I had a situation where it's somebody else, I could still contact this.
Absolutely, 100%.
Good.
Yeah, it's a conversation starter. The QR code gets you immediately into our victims assistance, but that does not mean that all of a sudden you're going to have a file written on you or anything along those lines. It is a way to start a communication and then talk about the severity of it. And Stephanie is well versed on where to go with those conversations.
Well, it's a big deal, a big decision to make to leave your spouse. And so I would want to know every aspect of the information I could use to make that decision. Where would I go? What would it do to my finances? What about my kids?
Absolutely.
Is it going to be an impact on my job or my credit report? Even, just things like that you don't even think about until you've done something, and you find out all these ramifications afterwards, maybe to your regret. So I think this is great. At least you can lay the foundation. Okay, now I got something to think about. And if this abuser starts giving me trash against it, you'll have information and know how to deal with that. I think that's a great plan. And I am glad that it isn't limited only to the person being abused themselves.
Correct.
I mean, I'm sure there's possibilities of that being abused, but most of the time, a lot of people that we observe this kind of situation, we don't know what to do. We're powerless. We're not going to go over there and intervene, and the cops are limited to what they can do. You can call the cops on your neighbors saying they're fighting again, and they show up, and then they're all lovey-dovey until the cops drive off, and then it's right back at it. And so, I'm glad that there's a way that, I'm not saying we should be spying on our neighbors, but, you can't just sit by and say, well, that's none of my business that the woman next door is getting beat, or the man next door is having to deal with an alcoholic wife that's abusing the children, or something like that. I mean, the whole gamut of possibilities are there, right?
Absolutely.
Let's say you get one you're in the bathroom at our place, because I'm quite sure Otto will have one of these. I know he has the old ones. Or Old South, I know, has them. Texas Bar, I believe, has them. Yeah. Yep. Okay. The lady goes in there, and she's with an abuser. She goes in there, and she clicks a button. The QR code says, I am being abused right now. What happens?
I would say immediately, if you scan the QR code, there is a button there that says text 911. Or you can just pull out your phone, just like any other text message, put 911 in it, and text to 911. So when you make a phone call and you get your dispatcher that says 911, state your emergency, it is the exact same person you're talking to over the phone, but through text message. So if you text 911 and say, I'm in an abusive situation, I'm being abused right now, I'm in a bathroom stall at our place, help, you are going to get the exact same dispatchers as you were on the phone with them at that moment. And they're going to tell you, they're going to type back to you through text message, this is what we want you to do, where are you at, what's going on, and an officer's going to be dispatched to you immediately. And so if you're in immediate danger, but you are afraid of vocalizing that, or you are in a place, the example I give is you got hit and then you ran to the bathroom and you closed the door and you shut the door and you locked it behind, and he's standing outside and he's either yelling or he's telling you, he's sorry for doing it this time again. And you're sitting there and you're like, I'm done with this, but I know if I call 911, he's going to hear me through the door. You can pick up your phone, you can text 911, say, I've just been hit, I'm hurting, he's outside the door, this is our address, and you're getting the exact same person as you would with the dispatch. It's
interesting. It's be good for a stalking situation.
Oh, absolutely.
The guy shows up at work and, whatever else, and you're really not in a position at your job to do something about it. A lot of people think the police have, pretty much an open hand to deal with this. And they really don't, because there are laws they have to follow about, the Fourth Amendment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But having the cops there, I think, is a great reminder to whoever's doing the abuse that they're on the radar now.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not getting away with it. And that if, we know who you are now. And I don't know, maybe that'll cause them to go worse. And we keep saying him, but wouldn't you say the majority of the users of this are women?
Yeah, and we've been asked this before, and this is the one that I really want to put out there. This is aimed towards the female side of things, but we know we know that there is male on male abuse. We know that there is female to male abuse. And we are in the process of really trying to figure out how to create a campaign for that side. It's a lot different than well, number one, because we were putting this in female stalls, just the anatomy of human beings. A female is going to be in there. She's going to sit down. She's going to look right across from her. She's going to see the poster. You and I both know that when you go to a male bathroom stall, we're in there for 15 seconds.
Look straight ahead.
Yeah, look straight ahead. Usually if you're in a ballpark restroom, there's 30, urinals on either side of you. So your opportunity to take your phone out and scan a QR code right in front of everybody else is not, especially in a place where men have on the female side of it, it's usually a breaking point. On the male side of it, it's usually to the place of either they lash back out or they just take the abuse always, because it's such a hard thing for men to talk about.
It is. It's somewhat unmanly or something to be taking abuse from a woman,
absolutely.
Which is rubbish. But that's the way my generation was raised. But here's the thing I could see as a man using it. It's not so much for like he's getting beat or whatever, but he has an alcoholic wife or a drug addicted wife, and he doesn't know how to find treatment for her. Particularly if they're new in town, right? They don't know. What am I going to do about this? My wife is abusing alcohol, and I can't seem to make a difference here,
right?
Or it's hurting the kids, so I don't know who to turn to. I can't call the police so much because there has to be an actual crime committed, right? And what kind of thing. So I could see a man using this very easily.
Absolutely.
Get on there, because part of it isn't so much I want to stick the cops on my spouse, but it's more like I need to know where to go. I need to know that this organization for drug or alcohol abuse is available, and what the expense is, and what the time frame is, and all this other business. So it's a good informative tool. And I think so. I don't know if you want to do a second poster with men, but I don't know if that's up to y'all. But I think I bet you'll find more takers on that than you might think.
We're working with One Safe Place. They have kind of like their survivors female side. They have a male version as well. So we're going to be working with them on trying to figure out what's the best way. I don't mind I'll create posters all day long. I'll plaster those things all up and down this city. So we just want to get people the help they need. And you're absolutely correct. Most men just want a peaceful home. And I think a lot of them will finally get to a place where they'll say, yeah, I need to find her help. As a guy myself, it almost feels as if I'm not doing my duty as a husband. If I can't help my wife. But sometimes it just gets to a place where you just can't. You just physically and mentally and emotionally cannot help them. And you need somebody's outside resource. And how do we get that information to the guys, and where? I
talked to the nonprofits like Lisa Schwartz and Debbie Beeman, because they offer counseling services.
Right.
And Jennifer Woods can direct people to counseling services, even if Harvest House isn't doing themselves. And for men, it's really hard to admit they need counseling. And it took a while for me. About 10 years ago, I got into counseling. And I'm not in it now, but I was there for about a year. And it took a lot for me to get there. And so I think this is a lot better for men who don't want to admit they have a problem, but maybe you need to check in and see what's available. So you click that QR code, you find out, because not all has to be like an immediate crisis, right?
Correct.
It could be just, I need to know where counseling services are.
100%.
And also maybe if I'm new to town, I don't know where to go. I see this poster and I said, well, I'm living out of my car. I don't know where to get groceries. You can direct them to that as
Absolutely.
well, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like some sort of violent episode that triggers the need for this.
Correct.
It could be just any kind of need you need, or any kind of need to be answered. So I really like this.
Stephanie will never turn anyone down. And if you send if you click the QR code and you just say, hey, I'm hungry, can you help? We're going to get Harvest House involved. We're going to get Crazy 8 involved. We're going to get just all of our local nonprofits. They're the ones that's who Stephanie goes to for all of this stuff. So it's a big, gigantic working thing. Kind of like you said, you have those companies in, and they speak so highly of her. She's absolutely amazing. You couldn't ask for a better person in a better position at BPD.
And that's what I really like about this whole program. Burleson Police does seem to be a bit more responsive to what's going on in the modern world, and it's not just kind of relying on tried and true traditional tactics. We've had BP on here to talk about social media problems and abuse and whatever else, and y'all are making the community more aware of these things. I don't know if other communities are doing that so much.
So Chief Cordell had a real good vision on being proactive rather than reactive. This is kind of the thought process behind it, is to get in front of an issue before we have to be called. The last thing we want is somebody to call 911. Because that means you're in a horrible situation. I mean, it's obviously it's there for that reason, but if we can try to create campaigns and create ways to teach people before it gets to that point, we're just doing better for the community, and we're doing better for our officers as well.
Let's kind of switch gears though, because we're talking about communication with the community. You're creating email connections within groups within Burleson, right?
Absolutely.
So you were talking before the show about an apartment email link,
right,
and also some retailers email link.
Absolutely.
Tell us all about that.
So, Officer Davis, who you've mentioned before, and Officer Byram, they're both in our Crow office, our community resource officers. What they have created are these things that we're calling safety alliances. So there's an apartment safety alliance that's been around for a while. And essentially what they did is they created a mass email chain. That's probably the easiest way to put it. That goes to all these different apartment complexes. And it says, hey, if you have an issue or if you have something you want to tell the other apartment complexes, please reply into this email chain, and it goes to everyone. That worked. They put it out there for about 2 years. Officer Davis did, because he's over apartments and HOAs, and nobody used it. I mean, it just sat there. Every week he would send an email. Hey, this is just a reminder. This thing's out here. Somewhere in that 2-year mark, one of the apartment complexes had a tenant come in and try to apply for residency. And in the process of it, they realized, oh, this guy's using all false documentation. He didn't have. This is not who this is. And when they figured that out, the person bolted. One of the people in the apartment thing writes an email and says, hey, this is the guy. This is what he looks like. He just came in. He tried to do this under this name. Just be on the lookout. And the email came in to another apartment complex, and lo and behold, here it comes walking in. And that, oh, hey, this guy's here now. And then all of a sudden, all these other apartment complexes were like, wait a second, this actually works. And now it's used constantly. Hey, we had a burglary here, we had this, we had that. And all these apartment complexes are now able to communicate with each other, where they could be on two totally different sides of town, but they're still able to communicate and saying, hey, these are the trends that we're seeing. The emails go to our community resource officers. They also go to our crime analysts. So our crime analyst is looking at it. She's seeing the trends that are coming in. She sees what happens, BMVs, or she sees that somebody's trying to use false identity or anything along those lines. And our officers are able to see it. So they're able to take that and report it to our patrol, report it to our traffic, saying, hey, be on the lookout for this type of vehicle. We took that concept, and Officer Byram, went to our banks and said, hey, how often do you get somebody that comes in here and tries to write a false check? And they're like, oh, all the time. Well, when that person leaves, where do they usually go? And oh, well, we think they probably just run away back into Fort Worth or something, but actually they probably go right down the street and try it again and try it again and try it again. And so he says, well, let's create a bank safety alliance. Same concept, same idea. It's a group information sharing idea. And he did that. And so so now our banks will come in and say, hey, there was a bank up in North Texas that got burglarized with this, or where there's a vehicle that's this color and this is the license plate, and they came through trying to do a false check and they left. And then all of a sudden we see another bank pop in. Hey, they're over here at our place right now. What should we do? Those things are answered immediately by our officers.
It's interesting because, I can remember an episode with Otto, somebody was hijacked his furniture that he keeps back behind the restaurant for his employees to sit on when they want to take a break or whatever else. He put it out there, and and it got his furniture back pretty quickly.
It did.
So you could do that. You do this with restaurants. You could do this with you mentioned boutiques. We had one hit yesterday, right? Or
over the weekend, Casey and Casey's opened up. They're off of Hidden Creek, and she pulled an auto. She on her first. There she is. Yeah. So on the first day that they had a lady come in and steal a bunch of merchandise, and she caught her on camera and took some pictures. And when I saw this at home. And I text Casey because I had done some work with her with the BOF at one point doing a video when I was still over at City Hall, and I had her cell phone number, so I texted her and said, "Hey, it's Tuesday. You're going to open up at 10. Do you mind if we come by and talk with you about something?" So we went in, we discussed with her what's going on here. She actually found this lady because when she posted this online, one of the other boutiques in town said, "Hey, she hit us for XYZ." And we found her. She was either arrested or, however they had found it. But this is her name. This is her address and all this. So just that social media sharing back and forth found the person. And then when our officers got there, she was going to fill out a report when we left. But the report has all that information as well. Now, I don't know how much the merchandise was worth. I don't know what type of criminal stuff. I'm the social media guy. I don't get to do all this. They don't give me a gun and they don't give me a badge. But but from what I understand, you can easily criminal trespass somebody from your property, so that person can never come back again. And then you can have them arrested if they do show up. But that's kind of, so we went to Casey and we said, "Hey, we've been doing this stuff with apartment complexes. We've been doing this stuff with banks. And now we started a Realtor Safety Alliance here recently because we know that the realtor business is getting to a place where we see all the time on mainstream media about the squatting happening in all sorts of crazy places. Texas has a no squatting policy. So, that's illegal. You can't squat in Texas. But we have seen some of the things happen like that in this area. So we started one for realtors as well, which we also offer free classes. We offer free safety classes. We offer these different types of things, and these realtor groups are going to be hosting those for other realtors to come in. So it's this information sharing. So we went to Casey and asked her, "Hey, if we started one with the boutiques, would you want to join in?" And absolutely.
Oh, you bet.
This time next week, I'm going to be walking around to all the boutiques in Burleson and coming home smell like perfume. My wife's going to wonder.
Well, when you talk about boutiques, are you talking about like Southern Gym?
Southern Gym would be one, yeah.
Now, I know they have a security system and a good one because I've seen it.
Right.
And, so it's not, and she has, all the appropriate security measures for having a high value inventory that she does. But I bet you a whole dollar, she'll be more than glad to jump on that.
Absolutely.
They have not had that happen to them, fortunately. They have not had an incident like that, but I think a lot of these retailers like Casey and Casey's or maybe Pink Chandelier or Mecca Fox or whatever,
exactly.
They're probably prone for this because, they're probably seen as easier marks than a locked up jewelry store. And so, I think that's a great idea. And the thing is, restaurants, they have a real problem with people walking the check. And if you walk the check at our place, you're going to get on social media.
Yeah, Auto's going to make you famous.
Yeah, that's right. Or if you take one of those coffee mugs, by golly, without paying for it. No, I'm not joking. No, I mean, Auto takes those kind of things pretty seriously, so, and as he should. And I bet he has that set up at Gina's. But I think probably all the restaurants probably could use something like that, particularly those that serve alcohol. And they think, that they'll just kind of slip in and have a couple of shots and then slip out. No, that didn't work that way.
No, and I'm glad you said that because what we thought about doing with the boutiques is just kind of hitting up one of these small business type of safety alliances where we're trying to get it a little bit more in your area so we don't have a boutique talking about something with a restaurant groups and stuff along those lines. But if we get a boutique safety alliance, if we had the restaurant safety alliance, and we just kind of go down and once we get the information from each of these groups and these businesses, really what we're doing is we're just continuously throwing out weekly, hey, here's the email chain. What are you seeing? What's going on? And it's up to these businesses whether or not they want to participate or not. But the more information they're able to give us, it helps us tremendously on stopping crime, preventing crime, looking at crime prevention measurements. We'll even go out to your small business and do a safety walkthrough and walk through your entire place and say, hey, if you put a camera here, if you added this type of security, if you did these types of things, and that's just part of us being BPD.
I would imagine you'll get 100% participation. Why would you not?
Absolutely.
It's not costing you anything. You're part of the service the police provides.
Absolutely.
And it's just one more mechanism we could use to try to keep things safe. We don't want people walking the check or shoplifting in this town. That's just crass.
We call our motto now is we are BPD, and part of that is the fact that when we talk about the we in we are BPD, we're not just talking about the boys and girls in blue. We're talking about a community,
right?
Because we can't be every place, every moment, at every second. But the more the community participates with us, the better off the community is, because that information gets shared and we're able to get to the places quicker, and we're able to do the prevention beforehand.
And I don't mind having a reputation as a community that we don't tolerate even petty crimes.
Absolutely.
You know, we're not going to be like Dallas, you know, who basically, you shoplift under $500, we'll call it even. You know, that kind of crap. But here we take it pretty seriously.
Absolutely. You're going to have to return all your Our Place mugs, though.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I know. No, he gave me one.
He did.
I have one. He was on the show and he brought one for me. So I do have one legitimately.
Okay. All right.
You have an open house this Saturday, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we have the BPD open house from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. In-N-Out Burger is going to be showing up. They're the first 500 people that are there can get free burgers from In-N-Out, free drinks, I think bags of chips and stuff like that. So good. So good. You know, I've always been a Whataburger fan, but man, In-N-Out, you know, kind of a close second in my heart. So.
Well, I got to try. I've never been at In-N-Out. Usually when we go out for hamburgers, it's Grump's.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, it's a free plug for you, Grumps, but that's where, you know, my wife really likes them, and she likes hamburgers more than I do sometimes, so it's really interesting. Anyway, back to y'all.
No. We can talk about Grumps all day long if you want to as well. I mean, we're at 11:51, and I think that may be where I'm going next.
Yeah. Right.
So it's this Saturday, June 1st, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's behind, it's at the police station, so if the back parking lot will be open, the field behind there, if it's not a swamp, will be open for parking, and then we are going to have you're going to have all your officers out there. You're going to have all of our new vehicles. You're going to see our new Medcat, the big gigantic Bearcat that we have that that thing is a small Sherman tank, to be honest with you. That thing is pretty cool. We'll have our drones. We'll have our robots. We're going to have a miniature horse. We're going to have, and that's not Chief. That's actually a full miniature horse. We're going to have, our victims' assistants. One safe place will be out there. We're going to have military recruiters out there, probably with chin-up bars, trying to see how many of the olds can actually still do one chin-up, and then let the youngs come out there and show them up, and then send them off to military service because they need it. They honestly need it.
Yeah, well, yeah, they do. And I always enjoyed having the recruiters on the BHS campus because I saw example after example what they did for the young men and some of the young women, mostly young men, because I'd see somebody talking to a recruiter and thinking, oh boy, I don't know what that guy's going to make it 2 weeks in the Marines or whatever. And he comes back 3 years later and he's all buffed up and look you in the eye and, shake your hand like a man. And it's a good thing. A lot of the
Marine Corps made me the man I am.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of the young ladies, typically the young ladies were a little bit more academically squared away kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were looking for career opportunities and things like that, and college help and stuff like that. But
they'll go to the Air Force. They're smart.
Yeah, the Air Force. Yeah. Some went to the Navy.
Everybody needs an Uber driver.
Right. So. Oh boy, listen to you. Yeah, you Navy or Marine guys always are hitting those swabbies pretty hard.
We love our CVs. They're good. We love them to death. We just it's like brotherhood.
Yeah, it is. You're the little brother there, and they're banging on. You're banging on them like on top of the head.
We're the brothers that are eating crayons and drawing on the walls in the bottom of the boat.
Well, we got off topic. Isn't there a video clip for this?
Roll that beautiful bean footage there, Taylor, if you got it.
1 second.
Oh. See, it's supposed to be on the ball.
Yeah, well.
It's got all this new swag.
Yeah, no kidding.
All this around here.
We're actually playing the video.
Yeah.
We'll have to,
there we go.
The cue up. Oh, there we are.
I assume there's sound with it.
Yeah, I did that. I did add sound to that, but pretty much just Officer Davis saying that on Saturday, June 1st, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's and we will have cases of free water out there. So we know it's going to be warm. We know it's going to be muggy. There will be. there will be plenty of ice chests full of water. So as you walk around, you see an ice chest laying on the ground, please just grab something to drink and sit back and enjoy.
Well, we're about done, I guess. But how about you? You going anywhere this summer? You and the family?
Yeah. There's a really cool opportunity for me, but I can't say it because it's a surprise to a family member. So
okay. Now that you let the cat out of the bag, no doubt the family is riveted to their Facebook page right now watching the show.
I know. Now the rest of the family knows, but this one individual. But yeah, no. Let's see. Throughout the summer, it's just going to be my kids in summer camp right now. The wife and I are heading down to. I'm going down to San Antonio next week for a conference, and then I have a national conference down in Corpus, and I'm taking the dear wife with me. We're leaving the child at home, and it's gonna be. Well,
San Antonio is a great place for that.
San Antonio is.
I've done 2 or 3 teacher things over my career down in San Antonio, and it's like, hurry up, get this over with. We want to hit the river walk.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
And one of the best ones I ever went to also was in Corpus Christi. I'd never been there before, but
really,
yeah, it was. About 10 years ago now, but it was. I had never been there, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and actually was pretty useful.
Nice.
Sometimes you go to these teacher things, and I have to do it for the credit. But that one worked out pretty well. But I want to get you on, and you want to get back on July. I'm booked totally in June, except I am. Do you want to do it after 4th of July, roughly?
Sure, absolutely.
Do this again.
I always enjoy coming and hanging out.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the latter half of July because Taylor's going to be gone like middle of July. Where you going?
Where's Taylor going?
Yeah.
You got anything in Europe?
Cabin in Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area, Tennessee.
Yeah, he does that all the time. Yeah, he's done that many times. Yeah,
Great Smokies.
Yeah. Oh man.
Mm-hmm. So
do you want to mention the golf tournament for the Burleson Opportunity Fund?
Yes, I was just about to say that. No, I wasn't. I forgot. Thank you. We have the Burleson Opportunity Fund golf tournament a week from tomorrow over at Hidden Creek. And I'm sure Collin, you're quite aware of the Opportunity Fund.
Absolutely.
Your kid goes to BHS or BISD schools, right?
Yes. And I was technically the first recipient of the it was the Mayor Ken Shedder Leadership Scholarship when I got it. So that was many, many moon ago.
Well, I tell you, it's done a lot of good for a lot of people. As a Hill instructor, I get, particularly my day classes, I would imagine I would get a class of about maybe 20. I would about 7 to 8 of them are BOF
That's
kids.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's really awesome.
And what really is funny is when the kids from Cleburne or Joshua Alvarado are in that class, and they say, man, you're getting this paid for by the town? You know, what a great deal. I wish my town did that. And I do believe Johnson County over in Cleburne is trying to get something similar off the ground, which is good for them. But we need the money because at schools, even Hill giving us every break what they can is still an expense. And so we're having a golf tournament, Hidden Creek. Check out the website. We need teams. It's $600 for a foursome. If you just want to donate, I had a couple of people say, look, I'm going to be out of town or I don't golf, but here, have some money because they appreciate what we do for them.
Hey, if they want to sponsor a police officer team, you're not going to hurt our feelings.
Yeah, that's right.
Not going to hurt our feelings.
There's a lot of golf coming up in the next 4 months, but we must be a golf in town, but there you are. But so talk about the Burleson Opportunity Fund with your friends and look into this on June 7th. After the show is over, I want to do a little short reel on what you just, that way we could, encapsulate what you just talked about, and Taylor will put it on.
It's very social media. I'm very proud of you, Brad.
Talk to him.
I know this was all your idea.
All right. On Monday, I have Melissa Miller with the Chamber of Commerce, and then on Tuesday, I have the ladies that were at the Amanda Mann Clark Project, who are trying to raise funding and awareness of colorectal cancer. And then I have about an old student. She's a friend, but I haven't seen her in a little while, but an old student, Brittany Parrish. She's a bodybuilder here in town. And we're going to be talking about all that goes into that, the competition, the diet, or whatever else.
That's awesome.
Yeah, bodybuilding's become a thing here in Burleson. And I think she's been at the leading of that. So it's good to catch up with her again. We'll see you all Monday. Share this with people you think could use it. Seriously. And we'll talk to you all next week.